This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of 21 Questions, the question and answer show brought to you by the good people of the KCSN Discord who love to ask us questions. My name is Craig Stout. I am here with my good pal, his Dirkness. I'm very appreciative that I am the one to basically pop your 21 questions cherry for both you and Ryan. I appreciate that I'm the first one that got to do both of you guys for this show. Dirk,
that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, Greg. I don't know. Are you sure you can handle all that?
I don't know that, but I've never been able to handle you nor Ryan. Why would it be any different?
I will always remember this one, so make it special.
Well, man. Okay. Well, I already screwed something up, and I can't wait to get into the DraftKings read later. Stay tuned. About 30-minute mark, everybody. It's going to be a good one. But lots of good questions this week from the KCSN Discord. That comes if you're part of the subscriber base for the KCSN Daily Substack. That is part of your $30 a year. You get access to the KCSN Discord. You can ask us questions, and we might read them on this show. So we're just going to dive right in, Dirk. This first one from Andrew Schnittker. Would I be correct in saying that Rasheed Rice is already a good bit ahead of where Skyy Moore was this time last year? What do you think, Dirk?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Rasheed Rice has pretty much already produced more in 2 of these 3 games than Skyy Moore did in basically any game last year. I don't have the stats in front of me for that, but just him getting on the field with what really is more of a crowded wide receiver room than it was last year has to speak kindly to what Rasheed Rice is doing. I'm not sure what was holding Skyy Moore back last year. His production is sure being held back a little bit this year, even though he's getting the playing time. So I'm not sure what's going on with Skyy Moore. I keep waiting for his breakout game to come, which I keep thinking it's going to come next week. But Rasheed Rice is I'm very impressed by him, despite having seemingly that one drop a game that he can't see shake right now. But just him getting on the field as a rookie in an Andy Reid offense, which doesn't seem to happen that often, has to be promising for him.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice is currently on pace to have 612 yards receiving. Like, that'll do as a rookie wide receiver for Andy Reid. Like that, especially since he's getting ramped up a little bit more and more. I do wonder if basically what we're getting week in and week out for the last 2 weeks here out of Skyy Moore is going to be what he's going to be. Maybe it's 45 to 60 yards a game. I mean, I'm more than happy with that out of a second-round draft pick there. I just think that we all had maybe some super high hopes that he was going to step in and fill that Juju role by himself. I think it's kind of a combination of Skyy Moore and Rasheed Rice to step in and fill that role.
Doesn't it seem like he's always open? Like whenever he catches the ball, it's like Skyy Moore just seems open. He's beating guys off the line. I can see that. He caught a back shoulder touchdown. There's just these promising signs. I don't get why there's not more production unless you're just telling me it's coming real soon.
Right. And maybe that's the case. Maybe this is one of those Andy Reid, we're just going to run a couple things here and there. But he's been open. Like we see in the All-22. Like he's open. And for whatever reason, Mahomes doesn't throw him the ball. Week 1 was just a rough game all around. But I don't know. We'll see here. But yes, definitely a good start for Rasheed Rice. Julian K asks the question, how would you rate Taylor Swift's Let's Fucking Go in the booth on the cheeseburger scale? Now, Dirkness, are you aware of the cheeseburger scale? Do I have to explain this? Or can we let... Okay.
Cheeseburger going to be well done? Am I going to get it well done? A well done cheeseburger? Because I was
No. We did this thing that everybody in the podcast universe hated over the offseason, where we talked about different teams and the different groups of the Kansas City Chiefs, and we rated them. It's basically a 1 to 4 scale, with the top being Andy Reid's favorite, Town Topic. He said that was his favorite. We had Westport Flea Market as the number 2. I genuinely don't remember what the third one is.
I was excited.
I don't, because I had to block this out of my brain, and I think like McDonald's or something like that.
I think Wendy's would be a good third. Would be good. What's
something like that? Yeah. It was McDonald's. McDonald's was the bottom there. So
are they a sponsor of us? Is McDonald's a sponsor? Or?
No, nobody's a sponsor. That's why we felt comfortable making that. But how would you rate it? Would you say that it's near the top? I felt like it was a pretty good one, to be honest.
The let's fucking go, she nailed. Yeah. The clapping was kind of robotic. So I think the clapping was definitely bottom tier. The let's fucking go, I will put on a top tier. And also, I mean, how PG is she? Does she seen dropping the F-bombs? Is that gonna? I thought that might be a thing. I have on a few Swifties tweets at this point, so I'm delving into the Swifties nation on Twitter. But I didn't see much backlash. Is that something that she shouldn't be saying?
No, she's okay. She's okay with all of that. Very, very publicly has thrown that out there. So not a big deal for her. I do appreciate here that, and I know that people just love the Taylor Swift content. They don't. But I do really appreciate that fan base of hers has fully thrown themselves into trying to learn football in the span of like 24 hours. Like they watched one game, which was one of the bigger beatdowns of the last couple of years, trumped by, another beatdown that happened this weekend. And they watched that and went, oh, this is fun. This is probably what it always is, and has tried to learn everything about football as possible. So just saying, Andy, you've got big shoes to fill. We better get that kind of performance every week for the Swifties here. So, yeah. All right. Nuja asks the question, how much did the Chiefs miss Nick Bolton this week? Dirk Ness?
Yeah, I mean, they would have beaten the Bears by more if he would have played, right? I'll put this on the bottom of the cheeseburger scale. I think Nick Bolton does a lot of great things, but honestly, with his backup being Drew Tranquill, probably maybe the best backup on our entire team. Just we need to get that guy on the field anytime we can. I was kind of excited to see Nick Bolton be hurt for a week and like, okay, let's see what the defense looks like with Tranquill here. I mean, we're gonna have to make a choice on Nick Bolton here, whether to pay him or not, sooner rather than later. But I mean, I don't think we missed it. I think there's slightly different styles. I mean, Bolton's more of a downhill linebacker, attack the line kind of thing. Tranquill's more better in coverage. But I don't think we missed him at all this week. Maybe if we play a more run-heavy team in the future, we might miss him more.
Maybe if we played not the Bears. I don't know that it specifically even needs to be a run-heavy team. And maybe the run defense improved. If Nick Bolton's out there and the pass defense suffered a little bit, but Justin Fields couldn't hit anybody anyway, so I don't know that it would have mattered. This was one of those when he popped up on the injury report early in the week, like very, very early in the week, I just said, hey, let's give him the week off. Like, seriously, let's just give him the week off. They got Tranquill. Everything's okay. Just let it ride there. I think that's going to be very valuable moving forward. Having two guys that can confidently call the defense and that everybody trusts to be that voice in the huddle, that's very, very, very nice. If anything, maybe the 3-3 was better because Jack Cochran wouldn't have been out there and it would have been Nick Bolton instead.
I actually had to look up the Chiefs roster and figure out who 43 was. It was like Omar Easy is on the field on defense or something there.
And Albert Wilson returning punts. I mean, lots of jersey searching this week.
Is there a way for both of them to share the field? Is there a rotation they can figure out? Can they both play at the same time? What are they going to do with these both? Because I love both these players and I want them both on the field. Is there a way both of them can get out there?
They have both been playing in that 3-3-5 nickel with Leo Chanel as well. So I know that Chiefs are big fans of that one. And then Drew Tranquill's been subbing in for Willie Gay Jr. a little bit in the 4-2-5 nickel as well. So they found some avenues to getting Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill on the field together. I'll be very curious to see what that rotation looks like in about week 10, week 11, because that's about when Spags starts. He kind of stops fiddling with the personnel a little bit more and just starts locking into some guys again. This is certainly way beyond what he's ever fiddled with, in the first 3 weeks. But
called out Darius Harris? You calling him out?
I'm calling out Darius Harris, yeah, for certain. But we'll see. Well, we will see. I like that they're rotating all those guys because weeks like this, it's just like, oh, hey, Tranquil's good. Like, let's lean on him.
I think those are our two best linebackers. So if we could
I
find a way to get both of them on the field, then.
And the funny part is that Leo Chanel's had a fantastic season too. Like, I got zero problems with Leo or Willie being on the field, but Drew and Nick, the way that they see the game is just different than those other guys.
I'm just waiting for them to drop Chanel down. Chanel,
whatever. Yeah,
drop Chanel down to edge rusher. Get him some pass rush reps.
He listen, this week he rushed the passer quite a bit. So I think it's coming. I think it's coming a little bit. All right, what's up, Doc? Asks if Kadarius Toney continues his battle with injuries throughout the first part of the season.
Yes,
do we see
continuous battle?
Do we see the Chiefs make a move at the deadline for a wide receiver? And who? The who part's the tough part there, but who do you think?
Hour of research here.
Yeah. Do you think that they would at least make a move or at least consider that? I know it's going to depend on the young wide receivers stepping up. If they continue to perform, at a higher level, I think they'll feel good. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on Kadarius Toney in the injury situation?
No, I mean, I don't think they have to make a move. I mean, the problem is I kind of think the Chiefs have like 6 guys that are like wide receiver 3s, really. Yeah. So you're most likely trading for another guy that's going to be in that same level as them, unless you're getting like a true stud of a receiver, which, I mean, what are we looking at? Like Mike Evans, but the Bucs are 2-0.
I was going to say, yeah, he's hard to pry off of that team right now because they're good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to get someone who's really going to move the needle, and then you got to worry about money, which they're tight on. So I don't see them moving for anybody unless it really becomes an issue. Toney is just kind of a, extra piece that you can do fun stuff with. So you want to have him healthy. I don't know. Is there someone else that can do the things? I feel like Richie James can almost do some stuff, and Skyy Moore could kind of do some of that same stuff, but they're not as electric as Rigatoni is. So are you really going to find a guy that fits that skill set? You could trade for McCole. How about bringing McCole back?
The Jets aren't using him. Yeah, I mean, you could. I feel like I'd throw Rasheed Rice, his name, into the mix there as a guy that can do some of those things. Certainly not as dynamic or agile as Kadarius Toney is, but has some of that explosion to create some extra yardage. I think if the Chiefs are trading for somebody, it's not specifically because Kadarius Toney is injured. I think at this point, with him missing the entire training camp and him basically missing large portions of the season so far due to injuries, not really playing a ton of snaps, I think it would be because they want somebody else. Because they're looking at MVS and Justin Watson and going, these guys are our 2 wide receivers ones. We'd like to improve the floor just a little bit more. I don't know who that would be. I mean, T. Higgins is the one that everybody's going to say that's a natural thing, but the Bengals are not trading him to the Kansas City Chiefs this season. It doesn't matter how terrible they are. They're not trading him to the Kansas City Chiefs this season. And again, yeah, Mike Evans, another guy that makes a lot of sense on the surface, but I don't think that the Bucs are going to be offloading him. I think the only other guy that I would even throw even potentially out there would be Calvin Ridley. And I think the Jaguars would have to just kind of continually fall apart in the offense. And I still don't know that will be the case.
I don't think any AFC contender is helping the
shouldn't
whatsoever.
They shouldn't.
So you're looking at NFC, I think, most likely. How about Laviska Shenault? He kind of fits that gadget type.
I love Laviska Shenault. That would be a fun one.
He kind of disappeared. I think he's on Carolina now, and he was kind of showing up in week 1. But they might kind of fall apart, and he might be like a piece that would come available if you want looking for like a 1-for-1 for Toney.
Right. Yeah, I could see them adding Laviska Shenault at the deadline and just saying, hey, that's a future move too. Like, I don't know that he's like a super needle mover other than, a couple manufactured touches a game. But hey, that's kind of what Kadarius Toney is right now. So to your point there, it's pretty like for like. We will be back after we take a quick break here to hear from some of our sponsors with more of your questions on 21 Questions.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Hey guys, it's Benny Heiss from Benny and the Bets, and when it comes to improving your golf performance, there is nothing quite like a PXG custom club fitting experience with a true PXG fitting specialist. This data-driven fitting is going to help determine the right club heads, perfect loft, lie, and shafts to be able to completely transform and change your game, and also lower your scores in the process. So no matter your skill level, you can be fitted for PXG's flagship Gen 6 clubs. They're designed to deliver incredible gains in distance, accuracy, and forgiveness. And for a limited time, you can use the code PXG75 when you sign up for a custom fit and get 75% off your fitting at pxg.com. Or you can give their store in Kansas City a call at 913-396-6100.
We are back on 21 questions here.
That was quick.
Quick break. I know. Is he behind the scenes? Everybody's just like, wow, man. Heard from all these wonderful sponsors. We're just flowing right through this thing, man.
Greg, you're a professional. I ain't used to this shit.
I know, man. Like, you're used to tailgating with me and seeing me in all sorts of fun positions here. So yeah, I'm just saying, there was a time when I did pregame radio, and I went to a game with one His Dirkness, and that pregame radio segment was about the least quality pregame radio segment that it could have been, because
I remember that.
It was a good tailgate. A really good tailgate. Yeah. All right.
Let me on.
Chief Golden, Colorado. If the Chiefs move on from Justin Reed after the season, do they need to replace him with another free agency vet, or do they draft one early and try and move Brian Cook into the role of that kind of secondary captain? If Justin Reed takes Dirk.
Who else we got at safety right now? We got Brian Cook, and then we got
Mike Edwards would be the other guy. Again, 1 year deal, not somebody who's probably they'd have to re-up him.
Well, and then the other, we got Chimichurri, right? He's a safety?
Yeah, Shamari Connor, yeah, is still in there. And they also, Deion Bush kind of floating around this team a little bit here, and Najee Johnson, who was out this year, but would certainly be back next year.
Well, I think it seemed like they liked him in training camp. They're kind of running in with the ones quite a bit. If we lose Justin, not necessarily. I think it's just market dependent. I don't think you have to go out there and specifically get a safety. I like Brian Cook a lot. Do you think this is more of like a play question or like a leadership question? Do you think they want to place him as like they see him as the leader on the defense?
I think it's a leadership question more than a play question for certain here. Yeah.
I like Bolton as a leader. I like Chris Jones stepping up as a leader, but
I know.
I don't know.
Remains to be seen what happens there. Yeah.
I do like having like a captain of the secondary like that in the safety position. So I'm always down for that. I really have not thought about that too much. So not too much on my radar, but sure. Yeah, do it. Go and do it.
Yeah. I think that they've got some guys that could fill in that spot. Like if they decide to re-up L'Jarius Sneed, I think he makes a lot of sense as a veteran guy in this room. Trent McDuffie's also stepping up into that role in a big way too. And yeah, Brian Cook, I would not mind if they decided, hey, we don't need that veteran presence on the back end because we've got so many other guys that have been here for long enough. They know Dave Merritt, they know Steve Spagnuolo. I think they'd be fine with that. I also am not looking to get out of Justin Reed this offseason. Yeah, I want to see the rest of the season, want to see this defense grow into itself a little bit more too. He has some bad moments, but he also has some really good moments. When you watch the All-22, it's hard to judge a safety off a broadcast, but when you watch the All-22, does a good job staying on top of things, passing things off well. Some of the stuff on the back end that isn't readily apparent, he's doing a pretty good job of that, but certainly when he's been targeted, he hasn't been the most efficient guy on the field. So it remains to be seen. I'd be fine either way with him.
I feel like Tyrann Mathieu was really good at like just getting the defense lined up and everyone into position. Is that something you feel like Justin Reed does? Because I remember it was a struggle. Would that have been early last year? And we just had guys kind of out of position all the time. And I feel like it was a direct result of losing Honey Badger. Has Reed stepped up in that area and really and gotten that role and just put people in the right places? Because I haven't noticed it being a problem at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's much better this year. I know that the Chiefs last year decided we're just going to dumb our coverages way down. Like, we're not going to run very much at a certain point. I think that's very much a reflection of the young guys that they had out there. Not that they're not capable of taking on better, bigger roles within the defense and stuff like that. But Spags at a certain point last year just said, you know what? Nope, we're not doing that until the very end of the year. This year, there's a lot more on these guys' plates, and so you're seeing a lot more instruction from guys like Justin Reed, Brian Cook, even Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed. Everybody's contributing a little bit more, but yeah, it's definitely happening with Justin Reed for sure. So, yeah. All right, Casey from KC asked this question. Don't you think the Chiefs should be screaming at the officiating committee and everyone else in protest of the clear singling out of Juwan Taylor and how that puts Mahomes at greater injury risk, referring to the fact that he got hurt on the play after that?
Direct result of
wiping MVS's touchdown off the board there. What's your take on Juwan Taylor? Obviously, at the time that we're recording this, we got a little more information. Andy Reid, playing the game a little bit, decided to put in the backup tackles, Prince Tigwanogo, and put Donovan Smith out there and aligned them deeper on purpose to see if the refs would call things, and they didn't.
Came out said this?
This was sourced, yes, by our one Charles Goldman. Giving themselves some ammunition to take back to the referees. Don't you love it? Don't you love that? They're giving some information to take back to the referees and say, hey, you are clearly singling this man out. We get your live reaction on this because you're just finding out about this. How do you feel? What's your reaction?
Well, it's weird to hear Andy speak out against it so much because he's just usually just keeps all of that in-house. I mean, he might be complaining to the NFL behind closed doors kind of thing, but for him to come out in press conferences and say it, you just rarely see that from Andy Reid. So it's definitely on his radar. I did see a stat that's like there's been 3 illegal formation penalties called the last 2 weeks since they decided to emphasize it, and they've all 3 been on Juwan Taylor. So that's some pretty clear evidence. I mean, the evidence is pretty overwhelming that they are targeting him for this penalty. So I mean, I don't know what to say other than, I mean, everyone else pretty much knows the story. Chris Collinsworth came and said all this on national TV, and it put it on everyone's radar. And now they're calling it on him and nobody else. I mean, it's pretty clear cut. So I can't believe Andy would do that. I had no idea why he took him out. And then he was like, he had a cut on his chin or something. I was like, that's kind of
cut on his lip. Yeah.
So I don't
put it back in. Put it back in, trotted him back out there. But it makes some sense now that we have gotten some more information that it was, hey, a line deeper and let's see if these guys call it, so that he can then turn around when he's on a conference call with the referees this week and just say, hey, look around the league, man. Like, everybody's doing this. And in this specific game, you were calling it one way. You were calling it against this guy, and that second one with MVS, he was not. That was not illegal, but, whatever. But they call all of this, so he purposefully trots out 2 new guys, aligns them improperly to try and get a flag, and no flag comes. Like, there has to be some accountability here. I hope that it's not in the other direction where now all of a sudden it's just going to get called way too much, because that's no fun for anybody.
Around the whole league? Like they
go around the whole league. Yeah, I don't want that. but yeah, I don't know. I think it's silly.
Is he lining up any differently on the calls where the plays where he's getting called and the plays where he's not? I mean, that's kind of my biggest question. Is he a little bit further back?
No, he's not. The thing, and Maddie actually was the one that kind of noticed this a little bit over the weekend during the game. It seems like it's being called more often when there's like a bunch formation to his side of the line. And so you've got the ref, like peeking his head around all of the wide receivers when he's supposed to be just like looking down the line. And instead he's peeking his head around the wide receivers and giving himself a weird angle, and he's calling them then. So I don't know if there's something to that specifically, but you don't need to be doing that for one single player here. If you're doing it, do it, game wide. Don't just single out one single guy here. I don't know. It's ridiculous. and I hope the Chiefs get it.
If anything, I thought his false starts were more egregious than the illegal formation. Like, he doesn't seem that far back. That just seems totally normal. The false starts thing, especially in week 1, where it was just like, I mean, I get if you're going in slow-mo and doing this, but it just looks different than everybody else does, and I feel like that's called false start quite a bit. Those seem more egregious than the lining up too far back in the backfield. I don't even know where that came from. It's
at this point, for like the last 5-6 years, everybody's lining up like the Mighty Ducks flying V anyway. So I don't understand why it's become such a singled out thing. Why Chris Collinsworth decided on week 1 Thursday Night Football, we're going to highlight this repeatedly over and over and over again, and now we're seeing a direct correlation. Chris Collinsworth's a narc. I know. I keep saying it, but he is. All right. We got Lee87 here asking the question, says, hey guys, can you give me your thoughts on Trent McDuffie, and has he hit a blue chip level like Chris Jones yet or not? What do you think?
Dog. I mean, McDuffie is, by all accounts, looks like a fantastic player. I don't think it's been recognized yet by like national media and stuff. I'm sure like the film nerds are starting to see it, but I keep going back to last year when he missed the opening part of the season or opening half, however many games it was last season, and then still came in and played good. When almost always when you see rookies miss part of the season like that, it's just kind of a lost season. They just get behind and then they can't catch up. But for him to miss that part of the season, come in and still play well in his rookie season, the writing was on the wall, like this guy's he's gonna break out in year 2, and I think he has. He's doing a Sean Smith out there where you just don't see him the entire game, and it's just that's which is a great thing for a cornerback. You just don't see him. They're not throwing at him, and when you do see him, it's because he's forcing a fumble like he did this week. So I mean, Trent McDuffie, I couldn't have asked for more from Trent McDuffie. He's been fantastic.
It's one of those that the worries that the NFL may have had about his size and arm length, which I do this CBAT stuff every single offseason. He is an anomaly. He really is. But he was that good of a player. Like, I mean, we loved him as a player because of all the things that you're seeing on the field right now. The way that he is able to play the receiver. Look at him against Jacksonville and defending the back stripe there. I mean, that's what you got to do when you're giving up size there. And then this week, the Bears trying to run the ball, and he is making tackles in the A gap as a slot corner, like just inserting himself into the plate. Everybody is going to love this man the more and more they see him. I feel like Chief fans are really starting to get on board with what he's bringing to the table because he's having these moments where he's defending really well when he is targeted. You know, they're throwing at him in the flat. He's making plays. He's making plays against the run. The more and more this grows, the more and more I think the legend will build with him. And then it's going to start hitting the national media a little bit more and a little bit more. But he's been phenomenal. PFF, I believe, has him ranked as their number 1 corner in the league right now. Like that's how good he's playing.
He's almost reaching a point where you don't want him to get in there and do the run support out of fear of him getting injured.
Don't get hurt.
Valuable. Yeah. Like, no, just allow them to get 7 yards. We can't have you missing time.
I would much rather you be ready to cover Justin Jefferson than inserting yourself into the run fit, buddy. That's not how he plays, though. It's just not how he plays. All right. Steve Gray, I love this question here, asks, what's your all-time favorite AHPKC player nickname that you've come up with? Ooh, this one's going to take a little bit. Listen, I know it's recency bias, but I'm going with Chimichurri just because every time you say it, it catches me off guard a little bit. I have to sit for a second and think, okay, who are they referring to? Oh, Chamari Connor. Yes, Chimichurri. Love it. So that's my favorite one right now.
See, this is the one I'd have to do the research on. I was asking you if we should do research on the question before.
Yeah.
I mean, Puff Puff Pass Rush was the OG nickname. That might have even predated Amateur Hour. But that was when Justin Houston and Tom Bahali were both facing different charges. And they're both elite pass rushers. So it just came about. That one really caught on kind of the most. I'm excited about our new one this year, the Chiefs Cake Factory. with the giant menu of receivers that Andy has. Like, it's too big of a menu. You gotta kind of narrow that down and have some specialties. And so we're working on a cheesecake name for each of the. How many receivers do we have now? Like 8 receivers.
27.
So
like
that's an ongoing list, and it'll be going throughout the season. Shit, I don't.
Pop-off pass rush was the one. Like I think that one is the one. That one stuck for a long time with you guys there. So yeah, I really liked that one. And I really like our sponsor for this segment here, DraftKings. You've heard us talk about them a ton. They are back with another week of football, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping you in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. If you throw 5 down on any of this week's epic matchups, you can walk away an instant winner with that $200 there. They're not stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. I certainly have. I've been taking part in a lot of the bonus bets, a lot of the profit boosts and stuff like that. They're doing a really good job, and they're helping fatten my DraftKings account a little bit here. So football is more fun when you are in on the action. Download the app now and sign up with code KCSN. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code KCSN. The crown is yours. And here's the disclaimer. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles in Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Whew. Got through that one without saying Los Angeles instead of Louisiana this time, Dirk. You're on, makes me think of California, and I was able to divert my brain elsewhere here. Next question. I actually like this one, even though I think it's a pretty easy answer for me. Ziandera says, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, who's more popular in Kansas City and who's more popular outside of Kansas City? What do you think?
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, who's more popular?
Yes.
I mean, in Kansas, it has to be Mahomes. I mean, Kelce could be the second most popular athlete in Kansas City history.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, it's still number 2 to Batman. So I have to say Mahomes. I don't know what the counter argument here. Maybe you can make an argument for the world of Kelce because he's getting on the Swiftie bandwagon here.
Just saying.
It's evening up. It's evening
maybe.
up. But it's coming. For now, until they break up, and then then Kelce.
And then Travis will be the most popular in the entire world because he'll have countless songs written after him. So that'll be fun.
I don't think you can get more popular than Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So he's got to be the answer.
I mean, and even outside of Kansas City, I mean, yeah, Travis is getting in on the action with all these commercials and things like that, but Patrick is everywhere. Like, he is hard to avoid. If you're watching any sporting event, any sports channel, even, normal network cable, you're seeing Patrick Mahomes more often than you are seeing Travis Kelce right now.
I'm watching the new NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. First time Sunday Ticket guy, and they got the multi-view going. So I got 2 TVs with multi-view. I got 8 games going at once. Patrick Mahomes, even on the bye week, he's on at least one screen at all times. He's in so many commercials at this point.
He is. And it's funny because now seeing Sunday Ticket and seeing, the 4 box and stuff like that, it's funny to see, okay, clearly like CBS and Fox have different segments that they are targeting specific ads in it. And so you'll see a game go to commercial like 5 seconds after another game. And so you're just watching the same commercial on a slight delay, and it's Patrick. Like it is. It's Patrick up there. So yeah, it's still Patrick, although Travis Kelce might catch up. We'll see here. Nick Johnson says, which Taylor Swift song was clearly written during a deep dive? Do you have any Taylor Swift songs? Do you know any Taylor Swift songs? I just wanted to shout out Nick Johnson for asking a deep dive question to you, because it's very, very appropriate here. I don't know enough Taylor Swift songs to have a take on this, but yeah.
During a deep dive, huh? I'm gonna go with I know some of these songs. I'm trying to make any kind of
correlation to the Pup Pup Pass Rush.
Yes, I don't have, nothing's coming here. Let's go with Bad Blood.
Okay.
For no reason.
Definitely. I'm on board. I need no logic behind that either. I'm just completely on board here. All right. Christian Gumminger, our guy, asks, it says specifically to you, you could have retired on the mountaintop with your 2019 Super Bowl prediction. What made you want to come back out and give it a go a few more years? Is this a love of the game thing, Dirk?
Yeah, I just missed the game too much. I did hang it up for a while after that, the next season. I do appreciate the shout out there. It was really just like we're kind of moving forward to like trying to like follow like a career in it and whatever, and then we both got too busy and it kind of fizzled out, and it was kind of like, well, let's see this through until the Super Bowl. And it seemed like a perfect ending, because we started our podcast during maybe the worst season in NFL history, in 2012, and then we finished it with a Super Bowl victory. So that would have been pretty poetic to just finish it there. But, it would have been poetic for Tom Brady to retire after the Super Bowl. But no, he came back and went 7-10 with the Buccaneers and made the playoffs. So I think that's what we're doing now. Amateur Hour is now going 7-10. And
hold on. Are we the Bucks now? Is KCS in the Bucks? Is that?
I'm Tom Brady, I think, was the comparison.
I love Brad. That checks out. You're the GOAT, so we just gotta do that. No, I like that a lot.
It's fun because I moved from Kansas City right after that, like 6 months after the Super Bowl win, and so I don't talk Chiefs with people nearly as much. So it was really fun to just reconnect with Ryan. He had finished school, so it just made a lot of sense. Like, man, we didn't even decide until like it was like 3 days before 2021 started, and like, you just want to do the podcast this year again? Like, yeah, sure. And then we just did it every week. We just started just doing it for fun mostly, and now it's just fun to do.
Yeah. And, then they win another Super Bowl. So, and you kept going for some reason. So, I mean, clearly they got another one on deck if AHPKC is still doing this. Man, that 2012 season. Whoo, Lordy. That's...
I don't know if people know, but me and Ryan both wrote for a rival website.
Yeah. You wrote for Pride. So did it. At the same time that I was writing there. And, yeah.
But neither of us wanted to write about that team anymore. It was disgusting. We're both fans at heart, so I don't want to watch this terrible team and then write about this.
Yeah.
So we just decided that it was much easier to talk about it for an hour instead of preparing and writing for, which is a much longer process, at least for me. And so like, we'll just start this podcast. People doing something called a podcast. Let's do that. We just talk. We just talk. So that was how it started.
Yeah, and it was the right time because we definitely needed some levity that season. There was a lot of big stuff happening that year. So, yeah, when people accuse me, especially now that I live out here in the Denver area, and people accuse me, oh, you're a Chiefs fan, right? Oh, I see how it is. It's like, buddy, I went through 2012. Like, I mean, I went through other stuff before that, plenty, 30 years without a playoff win and all of that.
Yeah, that's my go-to. Like, yeah, you see everything now. We went 30 years without winning a playoff.
Yeah. And then I single out 2012 because yikes, just big yikes on that one. All right. Keith McLean asks, And he posts basically a tweet from Next Gen Stats saying that George Karlaftis generated a career-high 6 pressures on Sunday against the Chicago Bears on 20 pass rushes there. He's recorded at least 3 pressures in every game this season and has nearly doubled his pressure rate compared to his rookie year. Keith asks, is George Karlaftis good? Dirk, what do you think?
He is good. I think the question might be, is he great? Because I thought he could be good. I mean, especially after watching him all last year, the effort was there. He's going to clean stuff up. He's just going to be like a solid defensive end, but I don't think he'll ever be like a game wrecker of any kind. I just didn't see, the quick wins from the edge and that kind of stuff. And I just didn't think he was explosive enough. Like, I think he'll be solid and he'll be a good starter, but I don't think he'll ever be like the, head of a pass rush kind of thing. And he's taken a bigger step this year than I thought was possible. I've been blown away with how good he has played this year. And that just changes the equation up front because now he's still obviously second fiddle to Chris Jones. So, that's just, the pass rush has a chance to be absolutely ferocious. And it's only his second year. And I do have to give a shout out to one of my favorite Chiefs, Tamba Ali, for working with him this year. And I think you're seeing is it Taekwondo? Is it, what's judo?
Jiu-jitsu. I thought it was jiu-jitsu, but yeah.
Of course. And so I think that's starting to pay off. But anytime you work with Tamba Ali, that's a win in my books. And I'm giving him all the credit. All credit goes to Tamba Ali.
All of it. Wow. I'll give half of it to, a quarter of it to Tamba, a quarter of it to Joe Cullen, and George can have the other 50%. But you heard it here, Dirkness giving all credit to Tamba Ali. You're just trying to get him to come on your podcast. That's what it is.
Tamba?
Yeah.
Oh man,
that would be fun.
He can just come on and rap live, and I'll
just duck in and out, like
back.
Just drop into the podcast whenever he feels like it, says a couple things, drops out again. Oh man, it'd be great. I would love that. Absolutely love that. All right. Frank the Tank says, if you could only have one topping on a sandwich, any type of sandwich, what is that topping? I'm gonna go with it.
Like, would a meat be the topping? Or what
topping? Yeah, meat counts as a topping too. Yeah. You got a favorite sandwich topping? I'm gonna throw a tomato because I will eat pretty much any kind of sandwich with a nice fresh tomato on there. So
what if it's the only topping?
A tomato sandwich? I can't say I've had one, but now I'm gonna go upstairs and make one. So
I think my choice would have to be cheese because I think a sandwich without cheese is incomplete. I'm going to give us a side answer of cucumber. I like to cheat out my pictures of cucumber and mustard sandwiches and call it Kansas City barbecue and just watch the replies roll in. It's one of my favorite off-season activities. But I always I prefer cucumber to lettuce exponentially. It's just much better. It gives you that crunch that you need. But cucumber on a sandwich is what my underrated shout out. But cheese is the actual answer.
I like the cucumber on a sandwich. I have had cucumber on a sandwich before, and you're absolutely right. The crispness is perfect. It's perfect. All right. Casey from KC asks, should we be praising Mike Dana more? I mean, yeah, I feel like I praise him every week at this point. But
can you do it more, Craig?
Yeah, I could. I mean, he's been that good. What's your Mike Dana takes? Dana takes. I'm sorry, I've been mispronouncing it. So.
Well, I think our shows have been doing a good job of praising Mike Dana. Mm-hmm. This is probably aimed more at like a mainstream media kind of thing, which I would say, yes, he deserves to be praised more. I mean, he's kind of become what I thought George would be, like the solid guy that's just kind of cleaning up and giving great effort. I know you've spoken that he's having quick wins as well this year, but I mean, Mike Dana is just a great rotational piece. And he's gotten better every single year. So I think I'm very happy having Mike Dana on my football team.
I am too. And Joe Cullen is, and Steve Spagnuolo is. The way that he took the Bears center on like his first pass rush of the game, basically picked him up and carried him to Justin Fields on that first pass rush of the game. floors me. Like, I feel like this week, or every week, Mike Dana does something that I'm just like, oh, wow, he has that in his arsenal now. Like, it's just one thing after another that now I'm to the point where I'm wondering what he can't do more than what he can do, because he just has these random wins that are all a little bit different every single week, and he's putting them together into these great performances. Again, pay the man. Like, pay him now, because he's just getting more and more expensive.
Yeah, what he can do is price himself right out of Kansas City.
Yeah. Especially when Carl Granderson, what he got, was that like $11-12 million a year? Like, that's probably a good target for Big Mike there, and that's kind of expensive right now.
So his contract ends after this year, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you spent a first-round pick on defense in the last 2 years. So I don't want to open the bank and pay him. I mean, a lot of it might depend on if Chris Jones ends up back in 2024. A lot of questions till then, but I love Mike Dana.
I do too. Mike Denny asked a question: who has been the most? Mike Dana? What?
Should I be talked about more?
So yeah, should I? Why isn't Chris Collinsworth singling me out? He's spending more time on Aiden Hutchinson than me when I'm clearly having the better season.
Mike up his parents.
Yeah, that's what he needs. Mike Denny asks, who has been the most pleasant surprise so far this season for you?
Well, shit, I think the answer should be George.
I mean, it's a good one. It could be.
Let me think. Let me see if I can come up with someone. You got an answer?
Yeah, I think I got an answer. I think the most pleasant surprise for me so far this season has been Noah Gray. I think we all had kind of expectations for him with Travis Kelce, especially ramped up when Travis Kelce got hurt. But he is what he is. And, he's always going to be kind of the back burner guy in this offense, never going to be an integral part of it or anything like that. I've been really impressed with getting him on the move, getting him blocking. He's creating a lot of stuff after the catch that he's had that in his arsenal, but we're seeing it more as a part of the offense. That makes it very scary for defenses when the Chiefs do go 12 personnel, because Kelce and Gray can block enough to where, they're scary enough in the run game. And then they could both get out as pass catchers really, really well and be kind of dynamic after the catch. I've been very impressed by Noah Gray so
far. I'll go. I'm going to go Donovan Smith, because I heard a lot of worries about Donovan Smith going into the season. And I know he's had some penalties, but he really hasn't given up many pressures, it doesn't feel like. Like the penalties are there, but his play on the field has been pretty good. And I keep seeing these stats about how this is like the least that Patrick Mahomes has ever been pressured. This is the best offensive line that I don't know if it's the best he's played with, but best he's played with in the last handful of years, I guess, since Mitch Schwartz and Eric Fisher. But I think the offensive line has performed very, very well, and he was the biggest question mark on it. So I'm going to go with Donovan Smith.
Makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it's clearly he's still probably the fifth best offensive lineman on this team, but that's a nice floor to have for your fifth best offensive lineman. All right, Splatical asks, is Leo Chanel the best player on the Chiefs, and why is that?
Well, is that a question like if you want to build your roster out of one person, like 53 Leo Chanel? Would they be 53 Patrick Mahomes? Is that kind of the question?
Leo Chanel the new Lance Long? That's what I'm hearing right now. We're going to build the entire team out.
It would be Taysom Hill, right? One of the greatest football players to ever play the game, as uttered in Week 1. Yes, the answer is yes. He is the best player on the Chiefs that is playing under 20 snaps a game. Yes.
Yeah, no, he's been impressive. He's been good. Like, they're finding him more avenues to get on the field, and he's looked good. The Bears game was probably his worst game as a linebacker, and that's a good spot for the Chiefs to be.
You would know. How often is he just lining up on the defensive line and rushing?
It's happening, I would say, maybe 50% of the time. That's not an exact number, obviously, but I'd say maybe 50%. This week was much less, especially since they're at the end of the game when they wholesale swapped out the defense. They were playing the quote-unquote backups. It was Leo Chanel and Jack Cochran on the second level. So he was not aligned on the line of scrimmage, but he's seeing, I would say most of the time that he's on the field in the 3-3-5, he is on the line of scrimmage. And then when they're in the 4-3, it's about maybe, I don't know, 50-50. We'll call it 50-50 as to whether or not he's along the base. That's going to depend on what they're doing with tight end, when he's kicking down to the line of scrimmage. That's all offense dependent, but he's rushing the passer from the 3-3-5.
There's an avenue where like he becomes part of the pass rushing package. Do you think that's a possibility?
I do think so, and I think that it's going to be dime reps later in the year. I know that means that you've got to take one of Felix or, George, Mike Dana, or Chris Jones off the field,
or Ominahu,
who's coming back into the fold here. But I think it makes sense depending on the quarterback that's going up there. The Chiefs played a lot more 3-2 dime this week with Willie Gay as a spy against Justin Fields. Made a ton of sense. I think that there's more packages like that for Leo Chanel that are built into this that they haven't shown yet. I didn't think he was going to be much of a pass rusher going into this season. A lot of people asked about it, and I said, I don't think that he's got the length and the pass rush moves to really give an offensive tackle trouble, but he has so far this season. So I could see them using him more for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Dunklin Anglin asks, how's Felix been so far? How do you feel about the Chiefs' first-round draft pick this year, Dirk?
Well, I mean, I think he's playing very limited snaps, but I know he has a high pressure rate, percentage in terms of what he's producing when he does get in. So it's kind of interesting that they're bringing him along so slow. I mean, I think it's kind of the Chiefs' MO with rookies overall. But I mean, I've been pleased. I've noticed him. I don't think I noticed him at all this week, but the first 2 weeks I definitely noticed him getting the pressure a couple times, and I was like, hey, there he is. Like, good to see him. So I am pleased with what I've seen from Felix.
Yeah, he got a lot more reps this week. Obviously, he stayed in with the second team there at the end of the game when the Bears were running the ball a little bit more and, getting into some of their quicker pass concepts and stuff like that when the Chiefs were playing prevent. Those are all good reps for him. But yeah, what he's been asked to do, just line up off there, try and win with speed. He's got some technique that he's working on. He's clearly, other than Chris Jones, because Charles Omenihu isn't on this team yet, he is clearly the second quickest win on the defensive line right now. And that's a good thing to have.
That's what I was thinking, because you kind of like you want to diversify what you got, and he would be like the quickest around the edge because the other guys are kind of power guys and winning with technique or whatever. But you can just win with pure speed, which that's fun too.
Who do you think? This is not a question here, but since we're just kind of talking about it, who do you think comes off the field in that 4-man rush when Charles Omenihu comes back in? Because right now it's again Felix, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and Mike Dana.
I guess I would have to say Mike or Felix. I guess
maybe
because you're probably sliding Omenihu inside, and they like to keep Chris Jones outside. So I mean, maybe they kind of just line up all over. It doesn't really matter inside and outside, especially on passing downs. But I guess, I would lean Mike or Felix in that. But you're rotating them, obviously.
For sure. I think it might be Felix. Like I think it might, and that's not a knock on him. I think it's just going to be one of those, hey, we're bringing you along slowly, and these other guys are winning just as regularly as you are. Yeah, sure, his pressure rate is higher than Dana's or Karlaftis's is, but they're also playing a lot more snaps. So naturally, it's going to happen that way. I'm just very curious to see what happens there because you've got 5 good pass rushers in that dime. And problems to have. Good problems to have here. All right. This is the last question. We'll close up shop after this one. Zach Tuttle says, is this performance over the Bears going to help boost the offense in coming games, or do you see the Chiefs continuing to have some of the offensive struggles we saw in the first 2 games of the season? Was the Bears game fool's gold, Dirk?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you're looking at the careers of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid with the Chiefs, I mean, obviously they're performing at a better level than they did in the first 2 games. So those 2 games would be the outliers, if anything. I know there's some question marks with the receivers and everything was kind of sloppy and some timing, lots of mistakes. I completely trust Andy Reid to clean that up. I completely trust Mahomes to get his receivers on the same page as him. And so I don't think it was fool's gold at all. And I think they will continue an upward trajectory on the offensive side. I was never worried in the slightest degree. The slightest.
I mean, if there's one group of individuals that has deserved the longest leash possible, it's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. So I'm fine with what the offense is doing here. I mean, I think we can look week one. If receivers catch the ball, we're probably not talking about offensive woes. Week two, if Juwan Taylor doesn't get so many penalties called on him, fair or not, there were a lot of giant gains that were erased because of that. And then week three, everything went great. It really did. The ball moved well. There were no problems scoring. Like it was good. So I think it's probably not quite as potent as week three. I think that's more an indictment of the Bears than anything. But I also think that it's not nearly as bad as week 1 or 2 was from an offensive output. And
maybe the biggest change, they got the running game going, which they did in the first 2 games whatsoever. Yeah. And I really feel like they changed up the style of running. They were doing more power runs instead of zone runs.
Yep.
I don't get their obsession with these outside zone runs.
For RPOs. It really is just for RPOs to key off of that and setting it up because they'll have 7 passes that go for 15 yards apiece and run outside zone 10 times, and that's what
and lose 3 yards.
Lose 3 yards. Yeah.
But I just like this offense. I thought, and it looked more like last year with some tight ends out there, some power runs, and then play action off that. So I thought the offense looked much better, and I just want to see it keep looking like that.
I do too, and I'm curious to see what it's going to look like here with the slate that they've got coming up. Obviously, the New York Jets are a good defense. I really do think that they're a good defense. They've got a lot of really good pieces there. The Minnesota Vikings are after that. Obviously not a particularly good defense.
Although playing much better this year, aren't they?
Yes, they are better this year than they were last year, but
I know they got Brian Flores in there, and I think that's making a big difference. And I know I think shit out of Herbert yesterday.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I am glad that the Chiefs are facing them at the point in the season that they are. I don't think that the playbook will be fully open for the Minnesota defense until towards the end of the season, and I don't want to see Brian Flores' blitz packages at the end of the season. I just don't. Even though Patrick Mahomes was great against the blitz, but
he's going to blitz more than he did? That's what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
like 100
maybe not more, but more diverse things that are going to target things. But then after that, then you're getting into some bad defenses. Play the Broncos twice, and yikes, big yikes. And the Chargers are in there as well. And the Chargers currently are 28th in points per game. Like, major yikes. Before this week were what? They were 31st in DVOA. It was just really bad. So there's opportunity for some get-right games against the teams that are coming up here, especially if they look good against the Jets and the Vikings. I feel really good about where the offense is. Like,
I feel
really,
like the Jets are at their hand on the reset button. They're ready to quit on this season. And
they do. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you get up on them early, you're going to see more sideline stuff like you saw from them this week.
I think so as well. Maybe won't have the same level of quit in them as the Bears did, but it's still not going to be particularly good. And I think the Vikings will get there if they come in, if they're winless when they play the Chiefs. Woof. Like that, I think that team is on the verge of self-destructing.
Especially when we trade for Justin Jefferson, right?
Oh my goodness!
In the pregame warmups,
just get out there and do what you're doing. You don't need another offense. Just go get open. Patrick will find you. That's right. That would be really nice. There's your wide receiver trade question from earlier in the. Got it figured out. That's gonna do it for 21 questions for this week. I thank His Dirkness for joining me. I am Craig Stout. Thank you all for listening all the way through this. Sign up for KCSN Daily to get access to the KCSN Discord and ask us these questions. Be kind to each other, and we will catch you later.